Hey, what's good, YouTube? Today we're gonna react to my man Jimmy. This one mistake changed the NBA forever. Okay, let's see what Jimmy gonna be talking about. The NBA have made a lot of mistakes. Okay, in their time being around, the NBA have made a lot of mistakes. But let's see. Sorry, but let's see exactly what is the mistake that they're talking about. But let's get into the reaction. Let's see what Jimmy got for us today.
This is Camille. Chances are you have no idea who this man is. But over 50 years ago, Camille made a decision that would change the NBA as we know it.
Okay,
See, Camille was a professional soccer player in his home country of Cameroon in the late 60s.
Okay.
And he was good. For 2 years, Camille traveled the country playing the sport he loved at one of the highest levels. But his father wasn't a fan of sports and saw soccer as an activity for those who couldn't succeed in other areas of their life. So just as his soccer career was taking off, he had to retire to focus on a more respected career in politics and local government. Fast forward 2 decades, and Camille would go on to be the chief to a small town just outside of Yaoundé, Cameroon. And throughout his life, Camille grew quite the family, 10 children in total. One of them you might be familiar with, named Luc Mbamute. Luke, like his father, loved soccer. His dream was to one day play professionally like his dad did. And growing up, Luke would focus on soccer and play the game almost exclusively until about the age of 13, where one day, while on his way to soccer practice, Luke noticed a basketball court that usually sat empty was being used by other local kids. For the next few days, every time he passed the court, these boys were shooting hoops. And slowly, Luke's curiosity got the best of him. So later that week, when no one was around, he grabbed his soccer ball, headed to practice, but this time, he stopped at the empty basketball court and took a shot. And that was it. He was hooked. For the next 10 years, Luke gave up soccer to focus on basketball. He quickly rose through the ranks in Cameroon's youth system and even gained the attention of college scouts in the United States after being selected to be a part of Cameroon's national youth basketball team, eventually earning a scholarship to play basketball at UCLA. His parents were reluctant to send their boy to the US, but remembering the difficult decision he had to make because of his father, Camille didn't want to stop his son from pursuing his dreams in sports. And so in 2004, Luke moved to the US and soon after enrolled at UCLA on a basketball scholarship. And 4 years later, after a decorated college career, Luke would become just the third player in his country's history to be selected in the NBA draft. This story doesn't end here, because throughout his NBA career, Luke would frequently travel back to Cameroon to visit family and host his own basketball camp. And it was at his camp in 2011 where he discovered possibly the next great Cameroonian basketball player. A tall, lanky kid who just picked up the sport a few months prior, had no real skill or finesse, but had all the potential in the world. His real passion was volleyball, and he was supposed to move to France later that year to play professionally. But Luke knew this kid was special, so under Luke's mentorship, the teenage prospect continued to develop his skills and moved to the US just 1 year later in pursuit of his basketball dreams. In the US, he enrolled at one of the best prep basketball programs in the country, and quickly became one of the most sought-after recruits, growing to 7 feet tall, watching tapes of Akeem Olajuwon to improve his game, and even earning himself a full ride to play at the University of Kansas. But not even Luke could have predicted just how fast he would excel. His game was getting better almost by the day. His potential was seemingly unlimited. And after just 1 season in college, the 20-year-old Cameroonian recruit would enter the 2014 NBA draft, where he was selected with the 3rd overall pick. His name? Joel Embiid, the greatest Cameroonian player in NBA history. One man giving up his sports dreams over 50 years ago triggered a series of events that would eventually lead to 2 others having the opportunity to live out theirs. If Luc Mbamute never stopped at that court to take a shot on his way to practice, he might have never fell in love with the game. His journey to the NBA would have never happened. Maybe he focuses on soccer instead. He would have never hosted his basketball camps. And
the suspense is crazy right now.
One of the greatest players the world has ever seen. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the butterfly effect, when a small and seemingly insignificant occurrence has rippling effects through time, leading to some consequential event sometimes long after the initial event. And this is just one of many butterfly effects that would change the course of NBA history forever. Today's Today's video is brought to you by Liquid IV. Stay hydrated and fueled with Liquid IV.
Hey, shout out to Jimmy for getting a Liquid IV sponsor. Shout out to him. Yo, Liquid IV, yo, that shit is goated. I'm not gonna lie. That shit is goated. After like a day after drinking, bro, take a Liquid IV. It will save your life, okay?
Oh, all packed.
Liquid
into
IV
these
really
super
be busting
convenient
too.
pouches.
Like,
This
shout out
time
to
of year,
Liquid
I'm
IV.
playing a lot of basketball, a lot of golf, and Liquid IV is by far up. Jimmy, answering today on your next order.
Giannis and Curry. You trade the
Long
wrong
before
guy.
the Golden State Warriors were a dynasty riddled with Hall of Famers and a generational superstar, they were, not very good. The
Nah,
team
they were
spent the
trash.
majority of 2 decades as one of the worst organizations in the NBA, finding themselves in the playoffs once in 18 years.
Damn.
Their one
Once.
shining star during those years of perpetual mediocrity was a player who literally choked out the head coach. But entering the 2010s, Golden State began to put together a team that could actually compete. An electric, high-scoring guard in Monte Ellis, a star and a real inside presence with David Lee, and a baby-faced assassin by the name of Stephen Curry. This core group was fun. Fans were re-engaged, but most importantly, they were good. The only thing standing in the way of them in a playoff spot was Steph Curry's ankles. Every time the Warriors picked up steam and got on a rhythm, Steph would go down with another ankle injury. But in 2012, there was a specific injury that would alter the timeline of Steph's career and the timeline of the entire NBA.
Barry Neal dribbling off his leg.
Oh my goodness.
Steph Curry hurt his
ankle. Oh, this is just
That's crazy, man.
Is all I can say. I hurt for him.
He just tried to push off his foot and rolled his ankle. That's crazy.
After getting his ankle troubles under control in his first 2 seasons in the league, Steph, seemingly out of nowhere, sprains his ankle against the Spurs just 6 games into his 3rd year in the league. An injury that would snowball out of control and re-aggravate again and again. Unlike his sprains in the past, this one lingered, causing him to miss entire chunks of the season. Even with his military-grade ankle braces, the sprain kept creeping back up, eventually leading to a season-ending surgery just 2 months after his initial injury. Meanwhile, the Warriors' season was in a tailspin, and a change was desperately in need before their window on what looked like a promising group closed. A trade was in need, and it would be a move that would make or break the next decade of basketball in Golden State. Their trade target? Milwaukee Bucks center Andrew Bogut. The only way to get him, package one of their starting guards in the deal. The choice seemed pretty obvious at the time. Get rid of the guy with debilitating ankle issues and keep the borderline all-star scoring machine. And so on March 13th, 2012, just 2 days after Steph played his last game of the season before undergoing surgery on his right ankle, the Warriors and the Bucks agreed to a 5-player trade involving Andrew Bogut and Steven Jackson for Epe Udoh, Kwame Brown, and Monte Ellis. This came as a massive shock to the NBA world, as the Warriors just gave up arguably their best player and kept an unproven talent that couldn't even stay healthy. With every piece of evidence suggesting otherwise, the Warriors rolled the dice and chose to keep Stephen Curry instead of Monte Ellis, leading to a series of events that would completely alter the landscape of the NBA for the next decade, and creating one of the greatest dynasties in the history of basketball. The choice was theirs, and they made the right one.
Definitely did.
Except, not really. Years after this trade broke news around the league, it was discovered that the original deal wasn't Monte Ellis for Andrew Bogut, it was Stephen Curry for Andrew Bogut. The Warriors were ready to build around the trio of Ellis, Lee, and Bogut. But after completing a physical with team doctors within the Milwaukee Bucks organization, the status of Curry's ankle injuries was unclear at best.
Makes
so
sense.
the Bucks denied the trade and proposed a new one with Monte instead.
Makes sense.
And inexplicably, the Warriors
But the Bucks
accepted
fucked up, though.
The same ankle injuries that gave
Shoulda
Curry
took
and the organization doubts about his future with the team, and even his future in the league, became the catalyst for one of the most pivotal trade decisions in the league's history. If Steph avoided those ankle injuries leading up to the trade, the Bucks would have accepted him in a package for Bogut. He would have ended up in Milwaukee, and the last 12 years of Warriors basketball that has redefined the league would have never happened. Instead,
Right.
Steph would have joined the Bucks, where just 15 months after his arrival, he would have been paired with another player that might have sparked an entirely new dynasty.
With the 15th pick in the 2013 NBA draft, the Milwaukee
Bucks
Bucks
select
select Giannis
Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo from Athens, Greece.
Just one season after
Hey, that
the
would've been
blockbuster
crazy.
trade, the Bucks drafted an 18-year-old.
That would have been a crazy duo. But low key, we got that duo now though. Low key, cause we got Dame and Giannis now on one team. So it's like, hey, that's as close that we gonna get to Curry and Giannis. So it's like Dame and Giannis, bro. Championship coming soon for the Bucks again. Championships coming soon.
Just one season after their blockbuster trade, the Bucks drafted an 18-year-old Giannis Antetokounmpo, which would have paired their new dynamic point guard with a young international talent they call the Greek Freak. If Steph avoided those ankle injuries, particularly this one against the Spurs that would linger and inevitably blow up his season in 2012, the Bucks would have accepted the trade offer that included him, and we may have seen an NBA featuring a Bucks team with two of the greatest players of all time. The Warriors dynasty potentially replaced with a Bucks dynasty, and an entire decade of era-defining basketball erased and replaced with an unstoppable team in Milwaukee. Back in 1998, after having the NBA in a chokehold for the majority of a decade, the Bulls finished their last season together on top. But with their 6th championship ring came the demise of the best team in basketball. By the start of the lockout season of '99, the Bulls championship roster had been completely dismantled. Rodman was released, Pippen was traded to Houston, Phil Jackson retired. The team was a shell of itself, so Michael felt like his time in the league had come to an end, and so he retired as well. Except he wasn't ready to leave the game. Over the years, Michael has been adamant about the fact that if the Bulls franchise brought back this team for another shot at a title, he would not have retired before the 1999 season. The one non-negotiable for Mike was that he refused to play for anyone other than Phil Jackson. But in the words of Jerry Krause, former Bulls GM, Phil Jackson could have gone 82-0 with this team, and he was still going to be let go at the end of the '98
Jerry
season.
Krause was
This
a
decision
hater.
essentially forced Michael into retirement. But just 5 months after Jordan announced his second retirement, Phil Jackson was hired as the head coach of a Lakers team on the verge of becoming the next great NBA behemoth. Meanwhile, Michael, who says he was absolutely sure about his decision to retire, was not quite ready to leave the game behind. Over the next couple years, videos surfaced of Mike visiting Bulls practices, terrorizing players in one-on-ones, clearly better than anyone in the gym. Reports at the time even detailed Michael seriously considering suiting up and playing in Spain for half a season. But before Michael made his return in Washington, he would often visit the Lakers. During practice, before games, he would go to their games and sit courtside, something he virtually never did with other teams. He would spend time with players, talking to Phil, even mentoring Kobe Bryant as he grew into a superstar. His involvement with the Lakers in the 1999 season was subtle, but had a massive effect on the team. Despite what he told us, Mike was not ready to retire in 1999. And with Phil Jackson coaching in LA, the obvious destination for the former Bulls great was to join the Lakers. But you see, the only problem was that by the time Jackson was hired to coach the team, Michael couldn't play basketball. It's been well documented that in the summer of 1998, Michael Jordan had caused severe damage to his right index finger while attempting to cut a cigar. In fact, in Jordan's retirement announcement, he mentions that the accident had severed a tendon in his finger and that the injury would require surgery. This injury, even if Michael never retired, would have sidelined him for the entire 1999 NBA season. And by the time he was physically able to return, the team that he had spent time around, developed relationships with, and was home to the only coach that he would play for, were already champions, completely removing any possibility of Mike signing with the franchise since Michael refused to join a team that were already established champions. It goes against everything the man believes. If Michael Jordan never severed his finger
Unlike
in a freak
KD.
cigar-cutting accident in 1998, the nagging itch he had to return to the game might have taken place 3 seasons sooner, with the only team that even had a chance at signing him, the Los Angeles Lakers. Instead, his injury delayed his return to the game and axed his chances of playing for Phil Jackson again and playing with Kobe and Shaq and a championship roster.
Bro, if that
This team
happened, that would
could
have been.
happened. In a world where
Bro, that
Michael
would've been
Jordan doesn't
crazy.
get into a freak accident in the 1998
Imagine.
offseason, we may have seen a Lakers team
That's
featuring
like, bro,
Shaq,
that would've been
Kobe,
fucking
and
6
Jordan
championships
entering
easy.
the 1999 NBA season. Maybe instead of imploding a few years later, this team continues to win and stays together.
Yeah.
Maybe Michael retires for the final time, not as a washed-up Washington
But
Wizard,
then Kobe
but
wouldn't have got
instead,
his respect.
a Bulls and Lakers legend with 3 or 4 more rings. Or maybe Michael's tyrant leadership drives Shaquille O'Neal out of LA, and we never get that 2000s Lakers dynasty at all. Maybe Michael's
that's
role
true
on the
too.
team greatly reduces Kobe's, and we
Yeah.
never see the true potential of the Black Mamba. And maybe everything went exactly the way it was supposed to, because that's the butterfly effect. When something almost insignificant spurs a series of events that leads to something much, much bigger.
Hey, nice video from Jimmy. Definitely a butterfly effect for sure. Because if Jordan would have joined the fucking Kobe and Shaq Lakers, like they obviously would have dominated, but it's like Kobe would have become like such a great player that he had been because he had to deal with so much, adversity and shit. Like especially after Shaq, for him to grow as a person and as a player. Because it's like, bro, when Shaq left, everything was on Kobe, and Kobe had to start carrying bullshit ass fucking teams, bro, on his fucking back, which led to him getting Pau Gasol, which led to him, winning 2 championships after that, and gain some more respect from people, showing that he could win championships without Shaq. But it's like, bro, Kobe would never got the respect that he deserved and shit if he would have teamed up with, if Jordan would have went to the Lakers and shit. But hey, fire video from Jimmy though, fire video from Jimmy. But imagine though, like a team with Curry and Giannis, like that's wild. But we already damn near got that now with Dame and Giannis. Like, bro, with that trade for Dame going to the Bucks, it's like, bro, we damn near got it. It's not exactly Curry and Giannis, but hey, the second best option, Dame and Giannis, okay? Dame and Giannis. And that shit gonna be crazy to watch. Like, I'm so excited for this next season. Like, this upcoming season is gonna be so lit, bro. Like, they got Giannis, Dame, and Middleton. Like, bro, Middleton don't gotta do nothing except for drop, 15 points, 18 points, or whatever. Like, mainly all the pressure just on Dame and Giannis. Whatever Middleton gives you is an add-on. But it's like, how can you guard, like, a Giannis and Dame pick and roll, bro? Like, bro, a pick from Giannis, like, bro, you can't leave Dame open because Dame got the... Like, bro, his shot is water. Then it's like, if you dumb it down to Giannis coming off a roll, off a pick, bro, easy, bro, easy layup, easy dunk every time. It's like, bro, you gonna have to pick your poison for real. Like, that's a dangerous duo right there. But a fire video from Jimmy, though. But, like, comment, subscribe, suggest anything else to interact to, down below in the comments. But check out the next one.